Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Astasia and I am a meditation coach and a spiritual coach. I help people move through their spiritual awakening journey. And if you have found this video, then you have come to my very first video for the Sunday meditation series. Each week, I will sit here with you every Sunday to meditate on a topic of our choosing together. And the structure will be similar across each session. We will start with an introduction of the topic, sharing some insight and reflection, and then we will begin our practice for 15 to 20 minutes. And then we will close the practice with some reflection and insight. So today I am honored to have my partner here to share this practice with me. I will pass the microphone for you to introduce yourself, and then we will proceed to the practice. So please introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. My name is Tai, and I'm very happy to be next to my partner, having this meditation session with each other and for the community. And I am, happy to be at this moment to send this energy of happiness and peace to the ones that are attending, or the ones that are not attending can also receive this energy as well.
Awesome, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. So, I wanted to introduce the topic for this week sitting, which is the energy of consistency. And the reason why I wanted to bring this energy and this practice to our session today is because consistency is something that we hear all over the internet, to be consistent, to practice consistency. And it seems that we all struggle at some point in our lives with consistency in some form or another. I know in my personal life, I have struggled with consistency for the longest time. And actually, one of the biggest thing that changed for me when it comes to consistency is actually changing how I perceive consistency. One of the things that I thought consistency meant was that I'd have to do something every day, like at the same time, in a very restrictive military style. And that level of consistency actually never resonated with me. And you can definitely share your insight after as well if you have anything you want to share. For me as a woman, something that I observe in my body and in nature is there is a rhythm and there is a consistency to how nature operates, especially in my body as a woman, for example. Every month I would get my period, and that's pretty consistent. Is it consistent in the sense where I get it every day? Absolutely not. But the rhythm and the consistency comes in cycle. And so that's what I noticed the same for my creativity, for my energy level. It's not every day is the same, but there's a kind of cycle and rhythm and consistency that I typically fall to, and that I can create in my life that feels more harmonious, more balanced, versus the military consistency that we hear all over the internet, which is like you should wake up at 5 a.m. every single day without fail. Um, I personally find that that is, to me at least, unrealistic in terms of how our body functions, because our body needs different things every day. Our body have different needs every day. And so my personal philosophy is to always listen to the body first, and to um yeah, to attune to what it needs from us. And to me, that practice is a sign of consistency. When I'm consistently listening to my body and attuning to it, that is how I practice consistency. And that consistency can show up differently every day. For example, today my body might need extra rest, and tomorrow it might need more movement. But the consistency is how I attune to my body and not necessarily what I do with my body. So that's how I have changed the way that I see consistency, and that is how I have been able to make it work in my life. So before I share any further, do you have any insight about consistency in your life that you want to share?
Yes, I can share a little bit
Okay.
since you have said a lot.
Okay.
Um, from my experience, I just want to bring an example. It's just like if we want to grow a certain fruit, we have to water the plant. We have to take care of the tree and have the tree living the right environment. Let's say an apple tree, and to have that fruit ripe, or having in the fruit in the right environment, right seasonal, it needs a lot of nourishment and care. If it's just starting from a small tree, and from that small tree, we have to commit it ourselves that we have to take care of it by watering it, and all sorts of other nutrients, and just for our life as well too. It can be for business, it can be for spirituality, it can be our daily life experiences, and it can be also just being mindful of ourselves. Take follow our breathing is part of it, and just being consistent of something that you want to nourish and have the fruit of what you want to achieve. That is what you want to be, have it day to day life. It doesn't have to be, oh, 20, I have to practice every 24 hours, or I have to hit the gym like 8, 10 hours a day. It doesn't have to be too much, but it can be start from a little. It can be start after be moderate, or it can be to advance of depending on how much time you will put in. So that's my take of according to consistency.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. I really like your metaphor about being consistent with nourishing whatever it is that we want to grow in our lives and watering the seeds that we want to grow in our consciousness. So, thầy Thích Nhất Hạnh talks a lot about watering the seeds of love, of compassion, of understanding, of wisdom. Like those are the seeds that we consistently nourish. And so, to me, this practice of consistency can be with anything in your life. And you can start to kind of set that intention as we are about to go into our practice is what would you like to channel this energy of consistency that is most likely already existing in you, whether it's a small seed today or if it's actually a very strong oak tree. Um, so, wherever you are today with that energy, you can grow it and strengthen it. And it's also where do you channel that consistency to? Because one of the things that I used to get told to myself is that I wasn't consistent. And this was a story that ran through a lot of my early 20s. I had people in my life that said, you're not consistent with working at a job, or you're not consistent with doing this thing. And I would judge myself really harshly for that as a young adult. But then I started to see what I was being consistent with. And it was meditation, it was reading spiritual books, it was studying psychology. Those are the things that I was super consistent with day in and day out for the last like almost 10 years. And that's when I started to realize that it's not Other people may say that you're not consistent with something, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you're not a consistent person. I would challenge you to look at other aspects in your life and see, what are you consistent with. And sometimes we channel the energy of consistency towards something that's healthy, and sometimes we channel the energy of consistency towards something that's harming us. For example, people can have the habit energy of watching TV over time, or scrolling on social media, or binge eating, unhealthy food. Like, I mean, we're speaking as humans, we all have those habit energy. But the consistency is like, where do you channel that energy to? Because very quickly you can channel that energy from something negative to something that's more beneficial and positive to your life. Anything you want to add?
Oh, that's good.
Okay. Okay. So with that ahead, I will encourage you to start setting your intention for your practice today. And then in just a moment here, we're going to go into our practice, and our practice will be silent meditation sitting for 15 minutes, where you will be feeling the energy of consistency and observing and contemplating and just really sitting with that topic here today in your meditation, however it shows up for you. It shows up differently for people. For some people, they are more visual, some people are more sensations. I encourage you to have full awareness of everything that's going on. So, whether that be your body sensations, certain feelings that come up, certain images or stories, whatever that comes up, to just be the observer of your experience in the next 15 minutes here, and to allow your intention to unfold with the practice. And if you are someone who have struggled with consistency your whole life, then to really call in and intend for this practice to strengthen that energy today. And I would encourage you to bring your attention to your lower stomach. Um, it feels like your root chakra, to really feel that sense of stability and groundedness in your practice today. So, with all that being said, let's get into our practice. practice has now completed, and we will share any insights that has come up from the practice today before we close up our practice. So we will share here verbally, but if you are watching, you can either journal your thoughts or you can share in the comment section if you want to share your insight with me or with the community. Your insight and your wisdom are very valuable, and I encourage you to share that in the comment section with the community so that we can all learn from each other. So, I will actually let you share first what came up during the practice for you.
Just gonna be practical of my meditation. So basically, I'm just doing the routine of following my breath. And usually, what I would do is every breath I take in and out, I will count to one and complete it to 10 and back to one again. And that is a part of me that I'm keeping myself consistency, as how we talked about before we had a meditation session. What I being focused is what I'm focusing on my breath and not letting those words, those voices out there taking away by not, taking my focus away. Mm, I don't want to have those voices being disturbed in me. And by doing that, I have to be concentrated and being mindful of myself. And because of that, I am able to keep myself at peace. And that's for my insight of the day. Would
Mm-hmm.
you like to share?
Yeah, thank you for sharing. For me, my insight came from the consistency that already exists in our bodies, which is the consistency of the breath. And whether we are aware of our breath or not, the breath is always there consistently. We are always consistently breathing, and that is automatic, and our heart is consistently beating, and our blood is consistently flowing. So, what I've observed is that in our bodies, there's already consistency that exists. A lot of the times, I think where the narrative of I'm not a consistent person comes from is really the external expectation of doing something. And a lot of the times it's something that's new, something that we're not used to, something that's not really a habit, something that's we're uncomfortable with. And that is why we're not yet consistent with that practice. But just like anything else, once it becomes something that we practice over and over again, it becomes consistent. It becomes like the breath, it becomes like the way that our body functions once we incorporate it in our lives. And that's what I notice for myself. And another thing that came up is it's important to see and feel into our relationship with ourselves when we judge ourselves for not being consistent. How are we handling ourselves? How are we treating ourselves in those moments when we judge ourselves, when we criticize ourselves, when we set a kind of expectation or standard that we weren't able to meet? How are we handling ourselves in those moments where we feel like we have failed our own expectation, where we feel like we are really harsh on ourselves? So I think the practice comes back to is to treat yourself with love, compassion, and understanding when you are in those moments of self judgment and self criticism. And another insight that came in for me was the inspiration of the river. The river is always flowing. And I think whenever we need the inspiration from nature to anchor in this practice of consistency with something that's new in our life, like maybe a new gym routine or a new creative habit or something new in our career or business or health or relationship, is to get inspiration from nature, to feel into how nature operates and to anchor in with those metaphors and images. And for me, it was go as the river. The river just flows, and there's the consistency in that. So, yes, that's all of my insight for today's practice. And I encourage you to share yours or reflect on yours. And I look forward to see you again in our next session. Bye.
Peace.